Let's talk about personal finances. What are you supposed to do? What's the future of money? We have a very, very special guest today. Check this video out. So hi everyone, we're here with Mitul Lakhani, the CEO of IMoney. And here's what's amazing, guys. We talk to people who are influential in what they do, let them share their story so that it somehow inspires you also to grow in your journey towards financial freedom. So before we start, what's your journey for people who don't know you? What do you do? What's your background? Where did you start? What led you here to the Philippines?
Sure. So I'm actually born in India, emigrated to Kenya when I was 9 years old. When I was 16, I moved to the UK to study, so I did my A-levels there.
Okay, wow.
And then studied engineering as a university degree.
Okay.
I graduated and I went straight into investment banking.
Wow, that's quite a shift. I also graduated from engineering.
Okay.
Electronics, never practiced a single day in my life. What caused you to shift from engineering to electronics?
Well, maybe I should ask you that question, but anyway, that's a different story. So the two reasons I actually shifted from engineering to investment banking is, one is I think after studying 4 years of engineering, I got a better understanding of what it would entail, and I didn't find it as exciting. And number second was just because of my circumstances where I needed a work permit, and investment banks were a lot more open to share.
Okay.
So then I started a career in investment banking. I did that for 10 years.
Whoa.
At various places. And then I got the opportunity to move to Kuala Lumpur.
Wow.
And take on a corporate role as a CFO. I did that for 4 years with a hospitality chain.
Okay.
And then I joined iMoney. And that's how my journey led to me ending up at iMoney, which is where I am today.
Okay.
So we are now in 4 countries. One of those countries happens to be Philippines. And so that's why I'm here in Manila to spend some time with the team.
So Philippines, what are the other 3 countries?
Malaysia is our home market, where we started in 2012. We then subsequently expanded to Indonesia, Philippines, and Singapore.
All of those countries are in Southeast Asia. What do you see in Southeast Asia that's where you're going and that's why you're here?
The exciting thing about Southeast Asia is the opportunity that we have to help consumers make smart decisions when it comes to personal finance. Helping them understand personal finance and making it easier for them to break down some of the jargon that they're faced with and that's thrown at them. It's also helping them access the right sort of financial products that meets their needs and also the way they can make the most of their money as well.
Is it also part that Indonesia and the Philippines have almost the same demographic, young, vibrant population, then you have more people who are working now than what it was 20 years ago. So I really believe that even in the Philippines, the median age of people now are around 24. It's very, very young. And it's our first time that there's more people working than people they're supporting.
I think that is a part of an ecosystem which lends itself to why it's even more important for people to have access to really good financial education and really make sure that they're getting the tools and the information that they need to make sure they're making the most out of this increased wealth that they're coming into. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we help consumers manage the money better. We want to make sure that they can get the more out of their money, and we also want to make sure that they can save and also protect their wealth as well.
In your observation, for Filipinos that are in the Philippines, what's the biggest money problem?
I actually think the problem that you highlighted, which is around savings behavior and whether people actually save and things like that. I think that is a common challenge which consumers and people face, and we've seen that across all of the markets that we're in. And part of it, again, I want to re-emphasize the point around financial education literacy is part of that is also learning. Taking, say you're earning 100,000 pesos, 10,000 pesos, whatever it is. How much do you set aside every month for a rainy day? You want to make sure you're setting aside enough so in the event that there's an emergency, you're not strapped for cash.
What's your technique? How do you save money? If you would give advice to Filipinos that because this is what I believe. It's never about how much you make,
Yep.
but what you do with the money that's given to you that will determine your end result later on.
I think the first thing is to really understand, okay, once you know what your income is,
Okay.
what are you spending your money on, right? What are the potential emergencies and issues that may arise, right? Can you make sure you have protection to cover for those kind of situations? That's where insurance plays a big part. And then the second thing is, if you have excess cash left over, because you're being a lot more efficient with how you spend it and use your money, then put that aside as a saving.
Okay.
Right? Whether that's 10%, 20%, 30% of your income, you can only determine that based on having a good understanding of what your income is and what your expenses are. That's sort of the basic fundamentals, right? So one of the things I started doing with my kids, for example, with them is I've told them, okay, so now we're going to give you pocket money every month. Now, we want to encourage them to learn how to start saving.
Okay.
Right? So what we've encouraged them to do is whatever you save at the end of the year, we will double it.
Whoa.
So therein lies the concept
Can I
of
apply for
interest.
Do you need one more kid?
See, but the concept we're trying to introduce there is when you save money, you earn interest and you grow and things like that, right? So I think if we can educate consumers, we can help them make those decisions and fundamentally also make sure that message is going down to the next generation and the generation after that as well. I personally don't believe you can be too young to start learning about personal finance
That's true.
and money and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where part of the challenge has been as well, is we haven't seen the education hasn't necessarily filtered through from generation after generation after generation.
iMoney is a fintech company, yes?
Correct.
So where do you think technology is headed over the next 5-10 years as well?
Now, technology has a big role to play. We've seen that with what's going on in the fintech. And my personal and our view is fintech is not there just to disrupt. It's actually there to make it easier for consumers to access financial products so that they can start getting onto a financial behavior and a financial profile that becomes a lot more efficient and sustainable, and overall helps in terms of improving and increasing the financial well-being.
What needs do you address, and how is it easier right now for people to be more financially literate via iMoney?
We provide an online digital website and services which are totally free for consumers.
Okay.
And the three things that we make available for consumers in terms of helping around financial literacy and access is first in terms of the education piece. So on our websites, we have something called the Learning Center. And the Learning Center is nothing but simple to read and understand articles breaking down different types of financial product. The second piece is around helping the customer through the decision-making process of when they want to apply for, say, a simple thing like a credit card or a personal loan. Typically, when a customer wants to apply for a credit card, they'll walk into a bank branch or they'll go online to each of the bank's websites to collect all the information, and then they'll probably do a comparison. What we do is we take away that pain and we do everything for them, in the sense that we have available on our website all the credit cards that are available in the market together with the features, but also more importantly the eligibility criteria.
Okay.
The third piece is around application, right? So what we do is we help customers through the application process for the product that they're interested in. So what we are doing essentially is we're taking away three key pain points to help drive financial education and literacy, and also drive financial inclusion. And that's really how iMoney can really help, and will continue to help in terms of growing that ecosystem of consumers in the Philippines.
For people who log into the site and then they find out that, I may not pass this credit card, but I can be approved for this. What's the next step? Do you help them in the process of getting the credit card as well, or do they contact the company directly? What normally happens after that? How does the execution happen?
So we have two different channels,
Okay.
right? So the first one is the customer leaves the details and they want to be contacted by an agent. We will help them with that process, and so it's more of a high touch sort of person-to-person engagement. And what we find is consumers actually prefer that route, because when it comes to financial decision making, there's still a little bit of that lack of trust. They still like to speak to someone, to really hear someone's voice telling them this is what we think is the right product for you.
Okay.
We also, on the other hand, make a process available where customers can apply either online or we can redirect them to the application form on the bank or the insurance company's website.
Oh, okay.
But what we find is most of the consumers, at least 80 to 90% of them, actually want to speak to someone.
Oh, these people that want to speak to a person on the other end of the line, younger people, older people, or it's almost everyone.
It's pretty much, as I said, 80 to 90%. So when we did the segmentation to see if there's any patterns around age or sex or anything of that sort, what we found was it was pretty even across all the different segments.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it comes back to the point that I raised earlier on about improving financial literacy, right? With higher financial literacy, better financial education, consumers then become naturally confident to do things themselves. So this is a journey for them to go through. Over time, they become more and more confident, so then they'll have the confidence to go and make those decisions and apply directly.
A lot of Filipinos, there's one segment that are okay being massively in debt, and then there's one segment that are scared to go into debt. When they see credit cards, they see loans, they're relatively scared about it. What's your take on that?
So every partner that we work with, we make sure they have a license. We do a lot of due diligence on them and ensure that they are not ripping off customers or bad lenders, right? Which is very important. So again, we have a role to play as a platform to make sure we can continue to improve the trust that consumers have when it comes to talking about personal finance. Especially when it comes to applying for credit products, but also informing the customers to be wary of different kinds of operators out there who may not be or have the right the customer's interests at heart.
What I like about what you said is they get to pick and see all of the products out there. Did that lead into better decision making also for them, that instead of going to what's offered by someone else, they get to compare everything, then they would pick this because this is a better deal that actually fits them as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that is the underlying intention, right? You want to provide, or we want to provide consumers with information which allows them to make the decision themselves. Without that information being under one platform and where they're able to compare the different products, the consumers would either have to do the research themselves, which would be very painful and tedious, and you have to spend a lot of time doing it. Or they just basically take whatever they can get access to straight away without actually going through and understanding what the product means, whether they're eligible or not.
How big is iMoney in the Philippines and the world in general?
We serve on average every year about 20 to 25 million users across all of our markets. In the Philippines, we probably get anywhere close to 8 to 9 million users coming to visit our platform. We are a team of about 50 to 55 people. And we have some very, very big ambitions to continue to grow. And more importantly, we want to make sure we continue to focus on our vision and continue to help consumers as much as we can.
So you said vision. Where do you see iMoney in the next 5 years?
I hope iMoney in the next 5 years will be able to double, triple, or even quadruple the number of consumers that we've really helped in terms of improved financial literacy, but also in terms of getting access to the kind of product that they want.
So, for people who have current debts already in either credit card or loans, what do you suggest is the next step for them? They pay them off first, or they try to find a way to get additional sources of revenue before they take another loan?
The fundamental first thing for any consumer should get to the bottom is, what was the main reason why they got into debt in the first place? What was the key driver behind that? Then that allows you to then understand, okay, if I got into debt because of my expenses were much higher than my income and I needed sort of working capital to get through on a month-to-month basis, then that helps you to assess and say, okay, then what is it? Am I overspending on too many things, right? So the decision on whether you should go and get another loan because you've got a credit card and loans already, or whether you should repay them off, is really, you have to take a step back and understand why have you got those loans? Why have you got that credit card? The other thing I want to add is, being in debt or having debts is not a bad thing, but it's important to remember and have very good repayment behavior to make sure that you're clearing off your debts on time. So if you have a credit card balance, make sure to the extent possible you're repaying clearing the entire balance at the end of each month.
Do you screen it also that this person has this debt already, then you might not get approved already because you had prior debt that's massive already?
We do put some of that screening up front, but ultimately it comes down to really understanding what the customer is looking for.
Okay.
The other thing we also look at is how we can help consumers better manage their debt, right? And this is a direction that we as a business, as we get more and more sophisticated using technology and data and machine learning, is to pull and understand what the customer's financial profile is and then make very smart recommendations on the back of it.
Is this only for people who want to take consumer loans, or can iMoney service also people that I want to start a business, I need capital, I don't have as much money, can I take out a loan from the platform as well?
We facilitate and we make information available on our platform for even different types of loans. So that includes OFW loans, CUN loans, entrepreneur loans, etc. But our core focus today is predominantly around consumer loans. However, we do work with 2 or 3 partners that provide entrepreneur loans, and we do have entrepreneurs who come onto our platform to do some research and even apply through us for a entrepreneur loan as well.
Amazing, amazing. Why does iMoney do what it does?
We inherently have a passion for making and helping consumers make smart financial decisions. That's the principle of it, and that's why we all work here at iMoney as a team. And you know, I'm proud to say that as a team, we truly believe in what our vision is. We're very passionate about helping consumers. We're very passionate about technology, and we're very passionate about, you know, also speaking and meeting people like yourselves who have consumers that you can reach out to and get the message across as well.
What excites you the most about the Philippine demographic? What excites you the most about what you see about the Philippine economy as well? Because I really believe that iMoney is here also for a reason and a purpose, that you're seeing growth as well.
I think for us, we see an opportunity in terms of how we can really help consumers. And part of that is growing consumer base. More and more people are coming online. More and more people are embracing technology. More and more people are getting into wealth. All of those different factors create a nice mix, which enables us to leverage on what we're passionate about and what we're good at, to ultimately, again, you know, aim and hope to achieve our vision.
How does iMoney help people who have already enough income, they have a lot of disposable income, they have a lot of cash in the bank? How do I fit iMoney's platform?
We don't target any specific customer segments, right? Customers typically will come to iMoney when they need help, right? And depending on what their profile is and the financial profile is, etc. What we typically find is most of our customers are people who may not have a very, very high income, or maybe who are very financially independent, and you know, the perfect customer that you sort of explained. However, we do find some of these customers come to our website to be able to literally shop around. Because again, these guys are always looking for good deals. They're always looking for the right sort of financial product. So they even come and visit us, even though there's nothing stopping them and doing all the research by going all to all the different places, right?
What makes you different from everyone else?
You know, the way we look at our business is we want to make sure we're doing what's right for the consumer. We prefer to focus on what we're doing. We prefer to focus on our strengths. We prefer to focus on making sure we're continuously yearning to improve. And you know, we collectively have an aspiration that we want to help as many people as possible. And as long as we continue to focus on that, you know, we believe we will continue to grow and continue to help more consumers.
You mentioned about loans. What's the lowest loan I can take from the platform? What's the smallest amount that I can borrow?
We don't actually do loans ourselves, right?
Yeah.
What we make available on our platform is information on the loans that are available in the market. So we work with banks.
Okay.
We work with some of the fintech lenders that are interesting because they're specifically targeting consumers who don't have access to traditional banking products. So some of these loans can be even as small as, you know, 1,000 pesos, and they go up to as big as much bigger, sort of 2, 3, 4 million pesos as well.
Oh, whoa.
So it all comes down to making sure we provide as wide a range of information in terms of what is available out there in the market from all the different players.
You mentioned about fintech and apps that allow people to take microloans. Where do you see the future headed? Will we see more people borrowing money from app-based platforms, or will it be still people will be still going at the bank to get their loans?
I think it will still be a combination. And I think what will happen over time is banks and fintech players will start collaborating and working together to ensure that the products that they make available to consumers are more accessible by consumers. Now, what do I mean by more accessible? What I mean is easy for consumers to find, easy for consumers to research, easy for consumers to apply for, and most importantly, easy for consumers to obtain, as in be qualified for, be approved for, right? So what we have today is, we have already seen this, is a lot of the banks are also now focusing on consumers who may have historically not been able to access their products. And that's all part of the financial inclusion mandates and the ecosystem that obviously BSP and the rest of the government want to drive. So to answer your question, I think these new sort of fintech entrants will work together with banks to create a very thriving ecosystem, which I think will be ultimately benefit consumers.
Will blockchain be a part of this?
Good question.
They told me to ask you hard questions.
Look, I think blockchain is still very much in its early days.
Yeah. Okay.
I admittedly I don't know enough about it to probably answer your question in detail. But its core use today has been with respect to cryptocurrency, and I think cryptocurrency in itself probably has value and legs, but still probably needs to establish itself in terms of being stable enough and easy enough for consumers to understand, and more importantly, trust.
Okay.
Right? The fundamental underlying aspect of anything related to money is trust. Right?
Good
so
point.
without that, and without that sense of trust and security, consumers are not going to be comfortable adapting it.
So, just to end this,
Sure.
2 things. Number 1, for those who don't know iMoney, what's the best way for them to know iMoney? In 1 or 2 sentences, how do you describe iMoney?
iMoney is here to help you make smarter decisions on your personal finance matters. So come and visit us on imoney.ph and you'll find all the information that you need to make smart decisions.
Lastly, if you have any finance principle that you would want to impart to Filipinos on how they can be financially free, what would it be? Anything that has brought you from where you were before to where you are now.
Wow.
And they said that it's really, really high up that ladder.
I've always believed in the concept of saving for a rainy day. I think fundamentally you want to make sure that one, your expenditure does not exceed your income, right? And once you're at a stage where your income is exceeding your expenditure, you always want to make sure you have some of your income saved away for a rainy day. And actually the best way to think about saving is that it is the first thing that you do as soon as your paycheck comes in, right? Because once you put it away and then you almost sort of want to forget about it, so you don't touch it, and then you can just use the rest of it to fund your expenses.
So pay yourself first,
Yes.
then pay everyone else
Yes,
right after.
absolutely.
So I guess that's it. It was an honor to at least hear your story, hear where iMoney's headed, that it's not just a personal finance app, but it's something that's changing the narrative of how Filipinos can either raise funds, get money, and then live their life as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
We're in the business of helping Filipinos make more money, make more out of their money, but also learn how to save and protect their money as well. And I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity.